Okay. Thank you for your introduction and also for this opportunity to share or to update clinical evidence from Sinovac. This is just a graph to show that Sinovac, we focus on research and development of vaccine for unmet medical needs since 2001. That means we almost have more than 20 years of experience to develop infectious disease vaccines, and we are always on the front line of fighting infectious disease. If you take a look at that picture, in fact, in 2004, 2003, when SARS coronavirus outbreak in mainland China, we are starting to develop SARS vaccine, and also in 2008. We developed vaccine against H5N1, this called pandemic influenza. And in 2009, we developed H1N1 influenza A vaccine. And in 2016, we developed EV71 vaccine, which against hand, foot, mouth disease outbreak in mainland China and also some Asia region. And now we developed CoronaVac, a COVID-19 vaccine, in 2020. So it's not a success or product in one night. It's a result of continuous effort of 20 years. So we not success in one day, but it's an effort of 20 years. Now this is a graph just to show the situation now, just as the previous speakers mentioned that we are still in the fifth wave of the pandemic. And now we can clearly see that there is an increased trend among Western Pacific. And also we know that we now have more cases and even deaths reported from this area, and most are from Hong Kong. So this is a overall picture around the world. And also if we take further, we can see that even in the world, there are many VOCs or variants of concern of SARS-CoV-2 around the world. Now most of them are Omicron. So we always ask this question: how about the performance of the current vaccines to prevent the disease caused by VOC, especially for Omicron? So today I will share some evidence to show that CoronaVac can play an important role on this war against pandemic, especially when we're talking about the Omicron. So this is a surveillance data occur from United States CDC. So it's clearly shows that children and also adolescents can get infected and can get sick. And also here, if we take a further, we can see that. So even for this group, children and adolescents, the incidence is higher than the incidence for the elderly people. So this means the children or adolescents who get infected by the virus can be a source of transmission in the community. So it's also an important issue that we should prevent the virus from to ensure to protect our children and adolescents. So we've been talking about this topic. So CoronaVac have a lot of evidence to support the effectiveness of this against those virus. First, this is the result from phase 1, phase 2 to show that CoronaVac is very safe among children and adolescents. So this RCT trial is done in mainland China, Hebei province. Totally, we have more than 500 volunteers enrolled this study between October 31 to 2020 to December 30. So the result tells us that overall incidence of adverse reaction was about 20 to 30%, which is very common when we develop new vaccines. And in the phase 1 study, or phase 1, phase 2 study, and most adverse reaction are grade 1, grade 2. So except for some for injection site pain, no significant difference between the 3 groups. I mean, middle dosage, high dosage, and the placebo groups. And the most common reaction were injection site pain and fever. So the results show that different dosages and also immunization schedule are safe among children and adolescents between 3 years to 17 years. And most important, no serious adverse reaction were reported or identified during this study. And also because we are following this study, so volunteers, so far we didn't find no serious adverse reaction. And also from the study, we also studied the human response. That's we call the immune response. And more than 96% of children in this study who received 2 doses of coronavirus, so they developed antibody against SARS-CoV-2, and the GMT of the middle dosage group was significantly higher than the lower dosage. That's why finally, at last, we choose the middle dosage group. And also, the coronavirus was very tolerant and safe and induced humoral response in children and adolescents among 3 to 17 years. So this overall data from phase 1, phase 2 study is RCT study and developed and supervised by the China FDA. The quality of the study of the evidence standards is very high. And also we have other study to show that the persistence of immune for this group is long. For this study, totally we have 180 volunteers. So the study and the immunization schedule or the interval between the first dose and second dose is about 4 weeks. If we take the look at the right graph, so the above one shows that the seropositive rate is still above 86% after almost 6 months after the first dose. It's a little high, and also for the GMT, if after 6 months after first dose, it's still more than 30. So this data tell us even after 6 months, all the persistence can last 6 months. So it also shows that for coronavirus, it's performs well when talking about the persistence of immunogens among children and adolescents between 3 and 4 and 17 years old. So this data from immunological study to support that coronavirus can the immune response or immune protection of coronavirus can last at least half a year if we do this study if we're talking about the persistence in a well-designed study. And how about the real-world performance of coronavirus among the children 3 to 20 years? First, let's take a look at the real-world study in Chile, because Chile have established a well-developed information system. That means they can collect all health information for their citizens. For example, they can collect the health status, and also they have the record of all vaccination. That means they have a very good study basis for us to evaluate the effectiveness of all types of vaccines in Chile. And this is a study published in New England Journal of Medicine basically it describes that 2 doses of Coronavac among adults can give a very good protection against SARS-CoV-2. Here is the result that for the overall effectiveness is about 65%. For hospitalization is about 87. For ICU admission is about 90%. For deaths, it's more than 86%. So this is a study among adults, but the result is published by New England Journal of Medicine. That means the quality of data source is good, and the method of this study is accepted by the world-class, the top-class researchers around the world. So basically use the same database and the same method. The researchers in Chile, they did an additional analysis focused on children and adolescents. So this is the result, shows that Coronavac can effectively prevent the disease caused by the variant. So this is just use the same database, but focus on children. And there are about 2 million children and adolescents in this database. So the researchers just focus on this part of population and compare the people who are vaccinated with Coronavac to those of Coronavac and also unvaccinated, and compare the incidence between these 2 groups. And the study found that the vaccine effectiveness for children and between 6 to 16 years with a protection effectiveness against symptomatic infection about 74%, and with an effectiveness against hospitalization is about 90%, and for ICU admission is about 93%. So we've been talking about these results. We found that during this study, the Delta variant is the dominant strain in Chile. So that means when we see this, when we do this analysis, it's in fact tell us that Coronavac performs very well when Delta variant is as a predominant variant of virus in Chile. So this is a first study of Coronavac shows that in the real world shows that it can protect children from Delta virus in the real world. So another study just focuses a lower age among children is from 3 to 5 years. So they also use the same database, but focus on children between 3 to 5 years. So in this analysis, it also tells us that Coronavac can protect or effectively protect children among 3 to 5 years against for example, against COVID-19 infection. The effectiveness is about 38%. For the hospitalization, the effectiveness is about 64%. For ICU, the effectiveness is about 69%. So if compared with other studies, or even the study just I mentioned before among adolescents, it's a little lower. But if we compare another study just published in US with some other type of vaccine, it's almost the same, because the other study shows that the effectiveness to prevent SARS-CoV-2 infection is about 31%. So if we compare 31 and 38, it's almost similar. So even we can see it's not higher as a result among adults or even adolescents. It's just, it indeed tell us that CoronaVac performance well in children between 3 to 5 years old. So this is very important because it's a study in the real world, not in a clinical trial or not in some immunological analysis. This is a real evidence to show that CoronaVac can prevent south-communicable infection in the real world. And most importantly, because this study is done during the Omicron outbreak in Chile, it also tells us that, or it's also a real evidence to show that CoronaVac can prevent South Coronavirus infection during Omicron outbreak. So this is very important and also give us a lot of confidence that we can believe or we can impact that CoronaVac can play an important role during our fight, during our war against Omicron pandemic. And also this is another ongoing study to give you more message that we are focused on efficacy. That's the high standard clinical trial to show that the protection of CoronaVac between children means children between 6 months to 17 years. It's a multi-center international clinical trial. It's ongoing. We have an interim analysis focused on safety. It's based on results of 6,000 volunteers. The preliminary result tells us that the overall incidence of reaction was similar to the result I just mentioned from phase 1, phase 2 clinical trial in China. It also suggests good safety in healthy people and also in different races. It's ongoing. We are expecting that in the next few months we can have this efficacy study, have the result of this efficacy study to show that how the CoronaVac performance. But we have a lot of confidence. And also, we have another ongoing safety study. Is post-marketing surveillance that we choose. We choose several provinces in China mainland. We focus on the surveillance safety signal. It's been outside the clinical trial. It's not just from clinical trial. It's we have a large scale. Try to find or find any potential risk among children between 3 to 17 years old. So this is not a clinical trial. This is a safety surveillance in the real world or after or post marketing authorization. So basically, we have three group of receivers. For example, the first is from 3 to 5 years. The second is 6 to 11 years, and the other group is 12 to 17 years old. So this is a study based on active surveillance. So we are still conduct this surveillance, and maybe we are also expect that in the next 2 months we will have the preliminary result. So this is a result based on 33,000 participants or children. So it's a larger scale compared to clinical trial. So we are very serious about any risk or potential risk that may be related to CoronaVac. So this is ongoing, just also to give you some messages that we are very serious about the adverse reaction among the children. And so far, we have about 14 countries or regions has granted EUA or approval or marketing of CoronaVac for pediatric population. For example, we have China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, all listed here. You can see it also gives us confidence that CoronaVac is safe and have a lot and effectiveness, and is accepted by the international community. It did help the country to prevent some coronavirus, to build a community immunity to against SARS coronavirus 2. So in a summary, CoronaVac is well tolerated and safe in children, adolescents between 3 to 17 years old. So this is data from phase 1, phase 2 clinical trial. And it also induces good immunogenicity and has a good immunity persistence. And the study or reverse study also tell us that in children between 6 to 17 years old, it can effectively prevent the severe disease caused by Delta variant. And also another reverse study support that CoronaVac in children between 3 to 5 years can effectively prevent the severe disease caused by Omicron variant. And also Sinovac are conducting more studies to support the safety and also the effectiveness use these products in children between 3 to 17 years old. As just mentioned, more and more countries are granted EUA or conditional approval of CoronaVac in children between 3 to 17 years old. And in the world, the inactivated COVID-19 vaccine, CoronaVac, can effectively prevent disease caused by VOCs, variant of concerns, among children and adolescents. Okay, this is what I want to share. So thank you.